there's something you can do with D that becomes very helpful, and it's kind of, it's not necessary, it just makes your life easier. So I'm sure that a great many of you did the grade 9 thing, which was you cut this in half, you found the surface area of the bottom one using the formula 2 WL, HL, LW, and then you did the surface area of the second one, 2 WH, HL, LW. Then you added them together, and then you subtracted 2 of those overlaps. I'm betting that's what the majority of you did, if you did this question at all. Am I right? And I'm betting if you did most of it right, you got somewhere in the neighborhood of 288, I believe it worked out to. Yeah? Okay.
I'm really bad at math.
Now, if you don't have 288 and you show me no work, then what can I give you? I can't give you anything because you didn't even show me you understood any of it. Okay? Okay. Did you show me a bunch of work? Well, then somewhere in there we would find your error, right? But hold up. I want to talk about a better way, I think, to do this question. Okay? Observe. I know.
It freezed it.
I know, because it's a piece of garbage iPad knockoff.
So why don't you just get an actual iPad then?
Because I don't pay for these things. All right. Everything I have colored in blue is exactly the same as this guy over here, except for numbers, right? It's the same shape. Does everyone agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I did 2 WH LW HL on this blue one, I would get the surface area of everything I've colored in blue, correct?
Yes.
Everyone agree? Okay. So 2 WH 12 by 4, right? Plus 12 by 4 again, plus 4 by 4. Everyone agree?
Yes.
Okay, 12 by 4 is 48, 12 by 4 is 48. That's 96. And 16 is 112, yes? Everyone agree? And 112 times 2 is 224. And that would be all the blue area, yes? Okay. What did I add to this? That green area, right? How many times? 4 times. So this is 4 by 4, isn't it? And there's 4 of them, correct? So it's 4 by 4 by 4. So I add 4 by 4 by 4, which is the green area, and I get 224 plus 64, which is 288. Is it the same answer?
That was so much easier.
Is it significantly less work?
Yes.
Did it require any special knowledge?
No.
Or did it require looking at the question and thinking about it before I started mad, crazy writing down math?
That, yes.
That one. Does everybody see the difference? Stop for a second and look at what is being asked of you, and you can significantly cut down on your workload. Will you get a different answer? No. But you will have less to do. And if you do less steps, what does that mean there is less chance for? A mistake. Everybody with me? All right. Turn the page over. Yes, I will be going over these. Now, looking at this right here, is there a formula for it? No, of course not, because it's a rectangular prism and a triangular prism, right? So there is no formula for it. So the easiest thing to do here is to add everything up. So There's that yellow wall, right? How many of them are there? 2, because there's one in the front, one in the back. Does everyone agree?
Yeah.
Okay. How big is that yellow wall? It's 8 by 3 by 2, correct? Which is 48. Everyone good?
Yes.
Okay. What about that green wall? How many of them are there? Times 2. How big is that green wall? 8 by 3 by 2, which is again 48. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. What about your computer freezes? What about then? Then you wait. You complain. You talk to Bill Belichick.
You get a new computer. You see Microsoft. Their iPad knockoff.
What about that? How many of them are there?
One.
1. How big is that guy?
3 by 3.
3 by 3, which equals 9. Everybody still cool?
Yeah.
Okay. What about that guy? How many of them are there? 1. How big is that guy? 3 by 4, which gets me 12. And then, what about this guy? How many of them are there? 2. It's a triangle. 2 triangles is the same as a rectangle, right? So on the bottom of this, there's another triangle that looks like that, correct? How long is this side? 3. How long is this side? 4. So how much is that? 3 by 4 gets me 12. Now the only part I haven't done yet is that front rectangle there, yes? We know it's 3. Do we know this? We don't know it right now, but can we find it? How? Pythagoras. How long's that? 3. How long's that? 4. So how long's that? 5. What's 3 times 5?
15.
And then what do I do with all those numbers?
Add.
Just add them up. Nothing complicated there. It's all math you learn in grade 4, right? They're all rectangles, triangles, and Pythagoras. Now, might I offer you this piece of advice, though? This triangle, 3, 4, 5, and all of its cousins, like 6, 8, 10, and 12, 16, 20, and so on and so on and so on, learn them. Have that memorized. 3, 4, 5. Pythagoras. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals this side squared. C squared. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. 9 and 16 is 25 is C squared. Then I square root. Now, why did I not actually write that out? Because I have committed this to memory. Much like you all know the square root of 4 is 2. You all know it. You know it automatically. It's in your head forever. Right? Get that in your head forever. 3, 4, 5 triangle and all its partners. 6, 8, 10, 12, 20, 16, and so on and so on and so on. All the multiples of 3, 4, 5. 9, 12, 15. Okay? 21, 28, 35. And so on and so on and so on. Cool? Okay. Now, any formula for this guy? So if there's no formula, what do? Add it all up. How many of those green guys are there? 2. How big is the green guy?
15 by 5.
15 by 5. So green guy, the green goblin, if my computer ever works again, is 15 by 5 by 2, which is 150, right?
150.
How many of those blue guys are there?
2.
2. How big is the blue guy? 15 by 2 by 2, which is 60, right? Please notice how helpful it is to have a colored pen. what would be a good idea to have on your test for this unit? Definitely a pencil, because we always do math in pencil. What would be a good also? Some pencil crayons for color. You could get one of those crazy multicolored pens, yes. Okay. What about the bottom? How many of them are there?
Uno.
There's only one of them. How big's the bottom? 15 by 8, which is 120. Yeah? What about this yellow guy? How many of them? Two. How big is it? 8 by 2 by 2, which is 32, yeah? And all that's left is the triangle. Since it's 90 degrees, you know the other side is the same, yes? So the other side would be that, wouldn't it? And all four sides are the same, aren't they? And how big are they? So what's 5 by 5? 5 by 5 for 25. Then what do I do with all those numbers? Add them together. Oh, I didn't add that one, did I? 96 and 24 is 120, 144.
Ooh, I did one right.
And that is 150 and 60 is 210, 330, 362, 382, 387. Everybody cool?
Yeah.
All right, now, I'm betting most of you split this in half and did the overlap thing, yeah? But knowing what you know from what I just told you, is there an easier way to do that? There is. Because if you made this whole, then it's 6 by 4 by 22, isn't it? And what's the only thing missing? That bar right there, which is 2 by 11, correct? I'll get to that in a sec. 2 by 11, right? So that's 22. And how many of them are missing? The one at the back and the one at the front. So I lose another 22. So it's all of this minus the 22 times 2. Does everybody understand? Yeah. Now, Ayla, you asked me how I got 4. Well, if this is 2, then how long is that? Just that little part there. 2. And I told you that those lines mean they're the same. So if that's 2 and that's 2, what's the total height? 4. Everybody cool? Yep. So if I do this one, 2 times HWLW LH, 6 by 4 plus 22 by 4 plus 22 by 6, and I do that all on my calculator, I get 400 and, come on, 488. Then I subtract out my 44 and I get 444. Again, you could do it the way you did it in grade 8 or grade 9, but it's more work. Do you get the same answer? Yes, you do. One shows me you can work with formulas. One shows me you know what you're doing. Does everybody recognize the difference?
Yes.
Right? With enough practice, you can all work on everything if you have a formula. What I do over here shows me a different level of understanding. Everybody cool?
Yes.
For right now, it doesn't really matter. But as you go further in math, grade 11, and if you take some grade 12 math, and if you take some math at university, if you can show some knowledge of what is going on, it will be much more helpful to you. Everybody good? Okay. Cylinder, this was an easy one. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h, straight out of the formula. 2 pi, what's my r? 3 squared. 2 pi, what's my r? 3, what's my height? 8. 3 squared is 9, 9 times 2 is 18 pies. 8 times 3 is 24, times 2, 48 pies. 18 pies and 48 pies is 66 pies. If you are like some of the kids in my other class, you cannot leave it that way. It makes your head explode. Like, I refuse to write pi. Then, of course, you go 66 times the pi button with your calculator, and you get an answer of somewhere around 200.
207.
207.
135.
Great.
66 pi is so much easier to write.
66 pi you can do in your head. I don't know why anybody would go to their calculator for that. Why would you go to your calculator? I've seen the texts you people send to each other. You're bad at pushing buttons. You are awful. I've seen the text chains on Facebook that people put up for fun. Look at these idiots. Right? Everybody's got an autocorrect joke. I told you guys the one that happened to me.
But you did?
Yes, you weren't here. 1 second.
I like how he pauses the video.
Yeah, you have to pause the recording.
Pause this recording.
Pause and tell him joke.
Oh, OneNote's cleaning up from the last time I was home. You saw how messy it was. Huh? Cooper. My stupid kids wanted to name him Copper, but I refuse to allow animals to have names that aren't person names. I like naming my animals person names. My first cat was named Betty. Betty had some kittens. Betty died. Betty's kittens were named Steve. No, I named the one I kept Steve. I gave away the other ones. You don't name an animal you're giving away, then you feel sad. I named him Steve. I kept Steve. Steve lived for 20 years. Steve had a niece that was named Humphrey, because I named my cats for a while after famous movie actors. Steve was Steve McQueen. Humphrey was Humphrey Bogart. And Betty was Betty White. Betty also lived 20 years. Then she died. Then I got some new cats. My wife found a cat on the street. Well, not on the street, in a bramble bush across the street from us. Meow, meow, meow. So my wife went over and climbed through the brambles and saved her, brought her home. We were like, man, this is somebody's kitten. We can't keep it. Somebody's missing a kitten. So we put up a bunch of posters and stuff. And because we thought we were going to have to give it back, we didn't want to name it. Then we waited 6 weeks and nobody claimed it. We put it on Facebook, put it to the SPCA, everything like that. And everyone was like, where's the cat? Because we didn't want to name it. And then finally my wife said, look, we're keeping this cat. I say, fine, we'll keep the cat. But because we didn't want to name it, because we thought as soon as we named it, it would get taken away, it would be bad luck, I allowed that cat to be named Jinx. Because we didn't want to be jinxed. But then Jinx, had an appointment to get her fixed. We went, made the appointment, come home the next day. There's some big, ugly tomcat on top of my little Jinxie. It's like 6 months old. Jinxie had some kittens. On my feet, in bed. We gave away all of them except one, which was a cat that was all speckled like calico, but had a big black patch over its eye. So I named it Nick Furry. Get it? All the girls are like, what? All the guys are like, hey! Nerd check. Nick Fury, the guy from the Avengers. Anyway, Nick is, of course, a girl, so it's Nicolette Furry, but that's okay. And that's the cats I have right now. Cooper was brought home. Yeah, we're back to the dog. I was at a Pro D, and my wife sends me a text, hey, we're getting a dog. What are you talking about, we're getting a dog? We're getting this dog. And she sent me a picture of it. Because I'm here. What can I do about it? I guess we're getting a dog. Because we had another dog. We fostered a dog that needed surgery, and then it died from the surgery. So we were all sad. So we got our own dog. And my kid's like, let's name him Copper. I said, we're not naming the dog Copper. It's a stupid name for a dog. I'll allow Cooper. All right. And that's Cooper's name. All right. I also didn't want to name him Copper because that's the name of the Hound in The Fox and the Hound, which is the saddest Disney movie ever made. If you haven't seen The Fox and the Hound, don't. You will cry buckets. It is the saddest Disney movie ever made. I won't tell you how it ends. But it is the saddest Disney movie ever made. Allie is agreeing with me because she must have seen it. We're not going to tell you. We're not going to spoil
You
it.
just told us not to watch it, though.
No, don't watch it. Unless you're ready to cry like a baby, don't watch it.
I mean, I watched Cars 3 last night. That was pretty
Huh?
So then tell us
I don't want to tell you the ending, because what if you watch it? All right.
I watched Cars 3 last night.
You're not going to watch it and tell us the ending.
Two different ways to do this question. I notice I highlighted the stuff that was messing with your head, yeah? So, I'm betting that everybody did this question a similar way, and all of you will have done it right up to a point,
I didn't even do it.
if you bothered to try it. First thing you got to do is, what do you paint in a room?
Walls.
The walls. Right? How many walls are there?
4.
4. How big are these walls?
4 by 1 by 5.3.
No, that's the floor. The walls are 4.1 by 3, because they're 4.1 across the bottom and 3 tall. And there's 2 of them, yes? What's the other wall? 5.3 by 3 by 2.
I totally would mess
And when you do that math, you get 56.4 meters squared, yes?
Totally not going to paint the wall. We're going to paint the air.
Is everybody okay with what I've done so far?
Yeah.
Now, if you tried this question, is that what you would have done?
I would have forgot about that.
The other option is maybe you took 4.1 meters, 5.3 meters, and 3 meters and changed them all into feet, which would have meant dividing by 0.3048, which would have gotten you something like 13.5, 17.3, and 9.8. And then you did this with the square feet. If you did that, you ended up with something like 607, which you then did what? Divided by what?
4.
No.
I don't know.
1 gallon covers 300 square feet. I divided by 300 to get 2.08 or something. So that means I needed 2 and a bit gallons of paint. So how many gallons of paint did I have to buy? 3 gallons. So you could paint your entire room, dip the paintbrush or the roller in the paint once, finish that last little corner, and then have a whole can of paint sitting in your garage forever. At least that's what my garage is filled with.
Why don't you get a quart then?
Your garage is filled with paint.
Filled with old paint.
How do you fit a car there?
I don't. Who puts a car in their garage?
Me.
The garage is filled with all your garbage. It's got all my skis and my surfboards and my Christmas stuff. My washer and dryer are out there. All my tools. There's no room for a car.
Race car.
That's what a garage is meant for.
I know that. I wish there was room for
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Now, everybody cool?
Garages are meant for race cars.
So everybody's good with this, yeah? Now here's the mistake. If you found it in meters, you said to yourself, self, I need to convert that to feet, don't I? So you did 56.4, and you had to convert to feet. So you wanted feet, you had meters, so you did 1 meter, 0.3048, and you did 56 times 0.3048, right?
Yeah, but that's wrong.
That's wrong. Why?
Because it's squared.
It's square
So
meters.
you should-
So you have to convert it how many times? Twice. Both units. Here is what I mean by that. That is 1 foot. That is 1 foot. So what's the area of that? What's the area of that? 1 foot squared. Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay. If that's 1 foot, isn't it also 0.3048 of a meter?
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 foot is 3048 of a meter. So what's this? 0.3048 of a meter, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not showing up on the board.
It will.
There.
How do you find the area of this in meters? Length times width. So it's it's like 0.92 or something. So 1 foot squared equals 0.092 meters squared.
That's a lot of squares.
You gotta square both. Here is why that works. If 1 foot equals 0.3048 meters, that's an equation, right? Something equals something. Agreed? So if I square this, 1 squared foot, I've squared this side, yes? So what do I got to do to this side?
Square.
Squared. I got to square both sides. Does everybody understand? Everybody?
I'm kind of confused, but I think I'll figure it out.
Let me show you with metric, because it's easier to see with metric. If that's 1 meter and that's 1 meter, how big's the middle?
1 meter squared.
1 meter squared, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Put that in centimeters. What's a meter in centimeters? 100 centimeters, yes?
Yeah.
So this would be divided into 100 little chunks, yes?
Little chunks.
Right?
Yes.
What would this side be?
Same thing.
100 little chunks, right?
Yes.
So how do you find the area in the middle?
Times what?
100 times 100, which is what?
200.
10,000
I had a brain for a moment.
centimeters squared. Because 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, but 1 square meter must equal 100 squared centimeters. Everybody understand? If you made that mistake, you're supposed to have made that mistake there. You're supposed to, at this point, have just been filling in formula. Why was it the very last question? Because somebody might have caught themselves. Because I've told you a million times already, it's not about the math. The math is easy. Length times width, 2 numbers, multiply them together. We even give you a calculator for it. So what is it about it, the math that makes it difficult? It's not the arithmetic, it's the concepts. Everybody understand? Okay. Everybody is good? Deep breath, deep cleansing breath. Talk with your neighbor for a moment while I set up what I'm about to do next.
Oh, he's pulling out the camera.
I am pulling out the camera. It's like it's not your first rodeo. The camera. See, watch. Louis.
I see Kingston.
I see Kingston. I see Ali.
He's upside down. Oh no.
I'm upside down. I'm still handsome.
No.
In Australia. Ah. All right. You guys are smart kids, yeah? Just say yes, you
Are
are.
those the blocks I think they are?
Now, I want for all of you to observe that little cube. Now, what's weird that I just found out today, earlier, the pink cube shows up white. Weird, hey? Anyway. Zoom in. There we go. Now, I need you to imagine with me. Is everybody ready to imagine? Let's pretend we're in kindergarten. Put on our imagination caps.
Let's pretend we're in an episode.
Okay. So, we are all imagining that that is a solid cube. So this little hole there isn't really there, and this little nubbin isn't really there. Is everybody cool?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what you see there, can you tell me the area of that exactly? Why not? Because I haven't measured it for you, right? So we would have to give it a unit, yeah? We're going to say that is 1 cube, agreed? So the length here is 1 cube, yeah? 1. What's the width? 1. So what's that area? No. Yeah, oh, I hear what you're saying. I didn't want anybody to say cube squared because that's going to confuse the issue. That is 1 squared, agreed? Everybody cool? Okay, so what is the surface area of this whole thing? Because right now you can only see one face, yes? So right now you can only tell me that it's 1. Agreed? If I turn it that way, you can now see that it's got 3 dimensions, yes? Which means now I can find a surface area, can't I? So if one surface was 1, it is 6 because there's 6 surfaces on here. Agreed? Surface area is 6. Everyone is cool? All right. Now, how much space in the universe does this thing take up? Give me a number. It's math class. I need a number. It's
0.0000.
nope, because you can't measure it. What is this in my hand? How many of them? So this takes up in our universe 1 cube of space. Agreed? Everyone with me? Okay. So if I add more cubes, then they're going to take up that much more space, aren't I? Okay. How many cubes does that take up? 9. Everyone cool? All right. So how many cubes can you see? No, you're liars. You can't see 9 cubes. What can you see? You can only see 9 squares. You do not know those are cubes because all you can see is 3 by 3. Everybody with me? So you can see 9, yeah?
Yes.
Now, that is a shape. Agreed? Does that shape, that square, repeat?
Yes.
Did it? Is that the same shape on the bottom?
Yeah.
So I started with a base shape, and I repeated it at the back. So what did I really make?
Prism.
A prism. Here I have a prism now, yes? And it is 9 big, and it is 1 thick. Agreed? So I took my 9, and I repeated it once. Everybody with me? Okay. Now what do you see? 3 squares. What's the volume? Yes, you do. I just held it up, Corey. What's the volume? How many cubes is this taking up in the universe? 9. What's the volume?
9.
Why?
Because there's 9 cubes taking up space.
You know there's 9 cubes taking up space because I showed you.
Yeah, exactly.
But what do you see right there?
I see
3. How many times do you see it?
3 times.
3 times. So what does that tell you about the relationship between the surface area and the height?
Well, this is a lesson.
It is indeed. But they're all related. What does it tell you about the surface area, which is what right here?
3 by 1.
3, right? And the volume is 9, right?
Oh, it's 3 times
3 times 3. Now what about this way? 3 times 3, but how many times did I repeat? Once. 3 times 3 times 3 is, 3 times 3 times 1 is? 3 times 1 times 3 is what? 9. Everybody with me?
9.
Now watch this.
Oh, don't make a funny shape. Oh, you made a funny shape.
Now what do you see?
A funky shape.
What do you see?
Lightning bolt.
You see a lightning bolt, right? There's no name for that shape, is there?
No.
Right? So we can't do length times width, can we?
No.
But we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yes?
Yes, we can.
How many times did it repeat?
3.
Once.
Once. So it was what we could see, 9 times 1. What if I stacked a second lightning bolt under it? Then what would I have? 4?
You would have 18. Because 9 times 2 is 18. Right?
What would I have?
You're struggling there?
No. What do I have?
18.
9
Times 2.
times,
2.
which means what's my volume now?
18.
Which makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because one of them was 9, and the other one was 9. And what's 9 and 9? 18. Is everybody with me?
Yes.
So what does that tell us? If I know the area of the base shape, what do I mean by base shape? The starting shape. If I know the starting shape, and I know how many times I repeat that starting shape, do I know the volume? Everybody with me? Nothing new. Cool? Okay. Now go back to your books. Wrong button. That button.
Get it.
You are on page 33.
What time is this?
When the bell rings.
I was just to remind you about your key.
I know. I was about to have a sip of tea because now it's cool enough for me to drink because I'm a wuss.
Look at me go.
Ooh. What was this one?
The cherry blossom one.
This was cherry blossom? That is delightful. No. All right. So, volume. Before we go on, I have to make you aware of two things. We use the word volume. Volume is the amount of space an object contains. We use it synonymously with another measurement that is almost the same. That is capacity. Okay? If I have a can of Coke, the can holds 350 milliliters of Coke. So it has a capacity of 355 milliliters. Everybody with me? Yes. But its volume is ever so slightly larger because the can itself takes up some space. Is everybody with me? Yes. I'll give you another example. This holds 500 milliliters of liquid. But the volume is all of it because it's taking up that much space. Is everybody cool? For our intents and purposes, they're pretty much synonymous, and we're going to assume they are the same thing. Everybody all right with that? All right. So, we have studied two things, yes? We have studied the volume, we have studied prisms and pyramids. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the prism. As you just learned from our demonstration, if I know the area of the base and I multiply it by the height, I will get my volume. Agreed? But there are two words, that should say height. There are two words there that are bad words, aren't they? One of them's even a four-letter word.
Area?
No. Base is the four-letter word there, isn't it? Because what does base mean? Bottom? Start. Both of them, yes? What's the base of my coffee cup?
Silver part.
The silver part. The circle, yes?
Yeah.
What's the bottom of my coffee cup? The circle. Still the silver part, right?
Yeah.
What is the height of my coffee cup?
This way.
Up the side. Agreed? Right? When I turn it that way, what happens? What's the base now? Circle part. What's the bottom? What used to be the height? Right? Okay. So if I wanted the volume of this, if I knew this area and I multiplied it by the height, I'd have the volume, wouldn't I? So what happens if I turn it this way? What do? Find the base area, multiply it by the height. What if I turned it this way? This way. This way. This way. What if I was underwater? What if I was in Australia? What if I was on Mars? Right. So, area of the base is not the bottom. It's what? It's the repeated shape. And the height is not the height. What is the height? There's the base, the height went that way. There's the base, the height went that way. There's the base, the height went that way. What is the height? Corey?
The direction the shape repeats?
Yes. It is the direction of repetition. Does everybody understand? That way, you never have to worry if I'm going up or down or left or right or inside, outside, whatever. The direction, the shape you are starting with goes is always the height. Everybody cool? Now, you guys are smart kids. We've already talked about prisms, yeah? Makes perfect sense, yeah? So we better talk about pyramids, right? Right? Tell me about pyramids and their related prisms. Talk to me. What do you know about a pyramid and a prism? They both repeat from what?
A base.
A base. Everyone's cool with that, right? So if they have the same base and they repeat, they must repeat in a direction, right? So they must also share a height, yes? So the volume of a pyramid must be the area of the base still, because a pyramid and a prism are very closely related. That's still the repeated shape. And it must be times the height. And that's the repeated direction. But there's a problem here, isn't there? There is a base. Yes?
Yeah.
1 and 1. Agreed? So what is the area of that base? 1. Everyone cool with that? If I repeat that straight upwards and I do not change it, have I made a prism or a pyramid? I've made a prism, yes? And if I go up 9 times, what is the volume of that? It's area of the base times the height, which is 9. So what is it? 9. Everybody agree? And volume is the amount of space that takes up, yes? So all of this space inside here equals 9, right? 9 what's? How many dimensions are encased in that? 3. So it would be 9 units cubed. Is everybody with me? Okay. Now, here's the problem. Keep my 1, keep my 1, keep my 9. But I don't have a prism. I have a pyramid. Is the base the same?
Yes.
Yes. Is the height the same? Yes. But all of the red, damn, I almost did it, is now gone, right? So what must have happened to my volume?
Gone down.
It has to have gotten smaller, yes? And through experimentation, not through math, through experimentation, the people that worked out these formulas recognized that a pyramid is always 1/3 of its related prism. So if I start from the same base and I make a pyramid, it is always 1/3 the volume than the prism would have been. Everybody understand? Now, let me ask you this. What do you think would happen if it wasn't a straight up and down pyramid? If it went this way? Do you think it's still 1/3?
Yeah.
Yes, because it's just leaned over. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Like it's not repeating.
Okay. So now the question says return to the previous 5 questions and do the volume. We're going to go back a couple of pages and we're going to do the 4 examples that we've just had. Then the 5th one is going to be something a little funky. Let's go back to page 27, I believe it was, wherever the Mattios were. Page 27. And there's my Mattios, right?
Yes.
I'm going to redraw it so there's no colors involved. And we said that was 24, we said that was 40, and that was 8, correct?
Yes.
All right. If I say this is the base, then what is the area of the base? 24 by 8. And the height is the direction it repeats, yes? So that would repeat up to there, right? So it went that direction. How far? 40. Everyone cool? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, yeah? Okay. Now, there's been an earthquake. And my Mattio's cereal box is tipped over. Now, that is the base. So what is it? 40 by 8, and it went that way, yes? How far? 24.
This is the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Same thing, except different order.
That's my new base.
Same
What is it?
thing, different order.
24 by
40 by 24. And what direction did it go? That way. How far? 8.
Same thing, different
Why?
Because no matter what order you put multiplication, it always means the same thing.
Multiplication is what we call commutative. It's always the same, yes?
Big words.
So that means the volume of a rectangular prism must just be LWH, right? Which you all saw in grade 5 whenever you were first introduced to volume, yeah? And most of you probably stopped there with volume. All elementary math teachers show you LWH. Why didn't I start with LWH?
So we wouldn't pay attention.
Nope. I wanted you to understand it, and I wanted you to know this. When I made that lightning bolt, were we able to find the volume? Why? Because you don't need a formula. Because area of base times height worked for even the weird shape, didn't it? What does LWH work for?
Square.
Only rectangular prisms. Are there more prisms in the world than rectangular prisms? So should we be able to do something that works with everything? That's why we use area of base times height. Everybody cool?
Yes.
Great. Go to the next one. What shape did we work with here? We worked with a square base pyramid, yes?
Yep.
What is the volume of every pyramid? You just wrote it down a minute ago. Area of the base times what? Height. Then what? Divided by 3. What's the area of this base? What's the area of the base? 32
32.
by 32. What's the height? It says so right there. What's the height?
Wait, does it mean the slant height? Or
No, I'm just about to ask that, Louis. It's like get out of my mind, Louis!
Jeez, Louis. What's the man? This thing?
Do I want the slant height or the height?
Height.
Height. Why? But even if it didn't say H, it's the direction of the repeating, right? Does the shape repeat up the side of the pyramid or straight up the middle? Straight up the middle. So we mean height with volume, not slant height. And then what do I do? Divide by 3. Now I can't do that in my head, but fortunately I allow calculators. What's the answer?
Hold on.
I think it's something like 21,000. I can't remember.
22,186.
Watts. Feet cubed, because I have 3 dimensions for volume. Everybody good? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? It's always area of base times the height. Next one. What shape did I have in the next one? It was a cone. Is a cone a prism or a pyramid? Which is it? Pyramid. So I got to do volume of a pyramid, right? Which is area of the base times the height divided by 3. What's weird about cones?
The bottom's a circle.
Bottom's a circle. So the area of the base is not length times width. It's pi r squared times h divided by 3. Pi, what's my r? It's written right on your sheet.
Hold on. 15.
15 squared. What's my height? 22 divided by 3. And I do that on my calculator. If I put that pi in, it's going to be yucky, isn't it? So I'm going to leave that pi out. 15 squared times 22 is 4,950. $4,950. And 50. And 50. Divided by what? 3. And then there's still a pi there, isn't there? 4950 divided by 3 is 1650 pi. Would I leave it like that?
Yes.
Yes. Some of you are incapable of leaving it like that. You're going to go mad. I can't do it. So you'll do 1650 times the pi button and come out with something like 5,200.
5,183.
Great.
Some gross number.
Awesome.
Some gross number we don't care about.
Speaking of girls' numbers that you don't care about, you guys all know that song Jenny? 8675309, 86753. That song? Do you know the town Boston Bar on the way past Hope, on the way up to Lytton? Any of you driven through there? That stupid little town that's really only 3 gas stations?
Hey, it's not stupid. That place is awesome.
Okay? Boston Bar?
Yeah.
Boston Bar's phone numbers are 867. Wait for it. My friend married a girl named Jenny. They moved to Boston Bar. And they didn't request the phone number 8675309 because her name was Jen. She's like, I don't want that. That's stupid. I was so mad.
That's outrageous.
I know, right?
It's so outrageous.
You tell me.
That's when you found for divorce right there. You know they aren't good.
My wife's named Catherine. She's like, I would move to Boston Bar and change my name to Jenny.
And get the number.
And get the number. Damn right. Now, last one. What's that?
Okay.
Cylinder. Cylinder, a prism, or a pyramid? Prism. So it must be volume of a prism. I'm going to see if I can write it all out before it freezes. Area. Base. I know it's frozen before it unfreezes. Damn it. H. What's the base of a cylinder?
The circle.
Pi r squared h. Any dividing?
No.
Why?
Because this is
There's no triangle.
Because it's a prism. Pi r squared. Pi, what's my r? 5. What's my h?
20.
20. 5 squared is 25. 25 times 20 is 500 pi. And of course, some of you can't handle that. So it's like 1583 or something.
1570.
You know what? The man doesn't know.
Is everybody cool with the theory?
Yes. But it's just the theory.
It's just the theory. We're almost done.
Oh, there's more?
Just one thing.
Okay. Oh, that
Let's
one.
come to this guy.
Oh, no.
I know we do. That's why we got to be fast. Is that a prism or a pyramid?
Prism.
Prism, right? So its area, volume is area of base times the height, yeah?
Yes.
The area of base is the shape that repeats, right?
Yes.
What's the shape that repeats? Damn!
Nice try.
What's the height?
7. 8.
No!
8.
No! 4. So if I find that area and I times by 4, I get it. Damn it, I needed 3 more minutes. No homework. None, nothing.
Listen to the chorus.
Because today was theory day.
I like theory. We have theory day every day.
We will have some theory days.
I love theory day. So what you have been doing?
Have good days.
What? It's just a theory. Oh, I made a reference. Cool.
I remember something I'm trying to remember being in class. What kind of teacher doesn't fart in public?
What?
A private tutor.
Oh, yeah! That's dinner table joke tonight, Gabe. Woohoo! Never mind. That's awesome.
Hold on. Hold on. I almost left you my stinky imp.
8. How much water's left? Not enough to make tea, damn it. Hey, Dina.
I passed your class
I
though.
know you did because I'm the teacher.
Right?
I entered your grade.
Right?
Of course.
Can I like lost my, I kind of ripped it, shredded it. Oh, I don't know what I